Good afternoon. This is Sean Canary, your professor. Just wanted to go over this week's assignments. If you take a look this week, what's due is both Chapter 9 in your Stu Kent book, or not Stu Kent, but McGraw-Hill Connect book, the quiz for Chapter 9, as well as the Section 2 of the final project. In the final project, Section 2, I'd like to see your written paper, the parts that include your marketing strategy and tactics. I'd like you to list all your possible segments, which segments you're going to target, how you evaluated them, the process you used to evaluate them, and then also the positioning. How are you going to promote your product? How are you going to position your product to those targeted segments? And this section 2 has a lot to do with Chapter 9. Chapter 9 deals all about segments, segmenting your consumers, how to target attractive segments, and then how to position your products to those segments. So it's imperative that you read Chapter 9 and take the Chapter 9 quiz before beginning this Section 2. But just to review Chapter 9 about segmenting, targeting, and positioning, why should you segment markets as a business owner? Well, it's important to segment your customer base because you need to realize that not all customers are the same. Customers should be put into smaller subsets of groups. That way you can position your brand's attributes correctly to those people. Take me for instance. My wife and myself are completely different people. We like two different things for just about everything. For instance, we're both big hockey fans and big Columbus Blue Jacket fans. However, I like the scoring of the game. I like seeing goaltending. The Blue Jackets goaltender is my favorite player. I like to see advertisements and I like to hear about goaltending, whereas my wife really loves fighting in hockey. She's in that subset that enjoys fighting in hockey, and I am in the subset that enjoys goaltending. So the way that the Blue Jackets could sell tickets to me would be to talk about Sergei Bobrovsky and his Vienza winning goaltending. The way to sell tickets to my wife would be to position the fighting of hockey, the toughness of hockey. We react differently to every product, and it's important that during the segmentation process, we identify different segments of people and then position our products accordingly. That's how segmentation can help your small business. So, market segmentation, we need to identify each segment's market needs, right? We need to determine the benefits of our product, how these different segments respond to different expenses, how they respond to the quality of a product, and how they respond to the savings of time and convenience to do with our product, right? Because all of this can determine our marketing mix, our 4 Ps. We should align our 4 Ps of our product differently to each segment. It's no longer a one-size-fits-all advertising campaign for all markets, all right? It's important that we advertise separately, that we market and we change our product mix for each segment. For instance, Sporting News creates multiple different versions of their baseball publication. They use geographic segmentation, where they divide the United States up into different segments based on geography. In the Northeast, they feature the first cover here with the Boston Red Sox on the cover. While in the Chicago area, they feature Cubs players. In Texas, they featured Texas clubs. And then in California, in the West, they feature the West Coast teams. It's the same magazine, however, they position their products differently to each geographic segmentation. So there's 5 key steps in segmenting and targeting markets that link market needs to a firm's marketing program. And this is exactly what I'm looking for from your paper. I want you to go through these steps. I want you to group potential buyers into different segments. For example, if you own a small, or if you're planning a business strategy for a small coffee shop near campus, I want you to differentiate your customers and put them into smaller segments, such as college students, maybe professors like myself, perhaps other employees of the college, and then perhaps just normal passerbys, but we would react differently to advertising. I'd like you to group your products into different categories, develop a market product grid and estimate the size of the different markets. Then I'd like you to go through and select the target markets and take the marketing actions to reach those target markets, i.e., positioning your product. So let's go through each of these steps. Step 1, group your potential buyers into segments. The criteria to do this is as follows. You want to keep it simple and cost effective of assigning potential buyers into segments. You want to make sure that you segment your potential buyers by the probability of increasing your profit. You want to compare the needs of these buyers. Let the needs of the buyers help you segment. You want to note the differences between each of your segments. And then you want to talk about the potential of marketing action to reach each segment. For instance, it would be easier to reach college students rather than just general passerbys of that example we gave earlier about the on-campus coffee place. Some different ways we can segment our consumers that you may want to use. Geographic segmentation, where they're located at. For instance, whether they're located in Elyria, Sheffield, Lorraine. Demographic segmentation, and demographics include income, gender, home size, income level. Psychographic segmentation really depends on how they see themselves. What do they see themselves as? What are their styles? Who are they as individuals? What are their personalities? For instance, are they young and trendy? Or are they older and more secure? A popular psychographic segmentation method is called VALS, VALS, and it's a psychographic segmentation tool that puts people into 8 different categories based on how they respond to a questionnaire. It really gets at the heart of how they view themselves. The next way to segment consumers is behaviors. What product features would they respond to of yours? Maybe you're selling computer program. What's the product usage? What's the frequency that they use a product? For example, Microsoft Office segments its consumers by the people and how they use their products. For instance, students, professionals. There's different ways to segment based on this. So let's take a look at step 2, grouping products into categories. And for this example, we'll use Wendy's. You should group your products into different categories while you're segmenting your consumers because each product will have different segments. For instance, mealtime at Wendy's. During lunch, there's different products. In between meal snacks, there's different products. Dinner, after dinner snacks such as Frosties, but you'll need to to separate your products into different segments or different products categories. Next step is step 3, developing a market grid and estimate the size of markets. You'll want to form a market product grid as shown below and estimate the market sizes with each of those categories. For example, this shows a pillow company. They have 3 styles of pillows: soft pillows, medium pillows, and firm pillows. And then they segment their consumers based on how they sleep, the position that they sleep: stomach sleepers, back sleepers, and side sleepers. Well, as you can see, they use the market product grid to show how big each of those segments are for the type of product. For instance, soft pillows, they're more used by stomach sleepers than side sleepers. So there's a larger market for soft pillows. Whereas back sleepers, there's a larger segment for medium pillows. And then finally, the firm pillows, side sleepers prefer to use the firm pillows. Step 4 is to select the target market. So now that we've differentiated our group of consumers into different segments, it's important to select target markets, right? And the criteria to use in selecting target markets is to those that divide a market into segments, as well as those that actually pick the target segments. All right? And things to keep in mind when we're targeting different segments: how big is it? We don't want to pick a target market or a target segment that's too small. We want to make sure that it's a good size. We want to also make sure that we can grow within that segment, that our product will not only be able to reach people, but our product sales will be able to grow as well. We also want to take a look at the competitive position. We want to take a look at our competitors within that segment. Can we compete, right? We also want to take a look at the cost of reaching the segment. Is that segment reachable with our advertising? Is it too expensive to reach that segment? Or is it a good segment to reach? We also want to look at the compatibility with our organization, our objectives, and resources. Is it too difficult of a segment to reach with our current products and our procedures? So for instance, if we were Wendy's and we were choosing products and segments, we would decide that it's not wise to choose any of our segments that consists of the breakfast products, because we don't have the capabilities of producing breakfast at this time. For our 4 student segments, we only want to choose the student segments that are going to be profitable for us. They're reachable, but are they profitable? So once we identified those 4 student segments, we've identified strategies to reach those target segments. Day commuters, we're going to try to get day commuters into our Wendy's restaurants. We're going to offer a coupon for in-between meal snacks and dinners to night commuters in the form of a free Frosty or a free French fry. We'll also want to keep an eye on our competition to see if they're targeting our same segment and what methods they're using, what promotions they're using, because it can help us define our future strategy. Finally, there's a couple different ways that we can position the products to these segments that we chose. We could choose based on the product, and the way we could choose to position our products is head-to-head, or differentiate our products from alternative choices. The key to positioning your product is writing a positioning statement. Again, what makes your product unique? How can we position our product differently to our segment? And that is chapter 9 in a nutshell. So, again, what I'm looking for in this section 2 of your assignment is to tell me the marketing strategy and tactics. Basically, segment, list all the different segments, choose the segments to target, evaluate them, position your products. How are you going to position your products to these individual segments? This is all your marketing strategy and tactics. This is that section. So segment, target, and position your product. As always, if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me at scanary@gmail.com. Until next week, have a good week.